Welcome to the program. The United Nations is accusing the Myanmar military authorities of using executions to kill their way out of a crisis of their own creation. State media said 2 men, both well-known pro-democracy figures, were put to death along with 2 others. Chow Min-yu, here on the left, who was also known as Ko Jimmy, was a long-time political activist. Phyo Zeya Thaw was a hip-hop artist who'd been working as an elected lawmaker before the coup which overthrew the elected government last year. The UN says that Myanmar's military has killed more than 2,000 people since it seized power, and 30% of them have died in custody. Well, Phyo Zeya Thaw's mother has given this interview to the BBC.
I want to arrange a funeral plan according to traditional customs. I have to know what day and how the execution was carried out. I asked the prison authorities to return his body or his ashes, but they only said the execution was carried out over the weekend. Although family members refused to return until the bodies were recovered, we were forced to return as the prison authorities did not respond. When we met on Zoom last Friday, my son was healthy and smiling. He asked me to send his reading glasses, dictionary and some money to use in the prison. So I collected those things and brought them to the prison today, and that's why I didn't think they would kill him. What I wanted to say for him was that I didn't know in advance that he would be executed. I am proud of my son. He even gave his life. If possible, I want to take his bones and ashes and place them at a martyr's temple.
Let's also bring you the reaction from Human Rights Watch.
This is clearly a signal to the Myanmar people from the junta that they are prepared to do whatever it takes, whatever rights abuses, whatever atrocities, whatever crimes they think they need to do in order to try to control the situation. They are now moving to execute political prisoners. That is the message today, that we will stop at nothing. It is a sign of the depravity of the Myanmar junta that they are prepared to take this kind of step.
Well, we're joined now by Ong Chow Mo, advisor to the Minister of Human Rights of the Myanmar Government of National Unity. He's currently in exile in an undisclosed location. Thank you very much for talking to us. Can I just start by getting your reaction to this news?
Thank you for having me. It's indeed very sad and very shocking news what had happened. And this clearly indicates that the junta is doing, they have announced that they will do whatever they need to do or they are capable of doing. And this includes very serious gross human rights violations. And a lot of people are saying this is like executions of death sentence, and this is the first time in 30 years that 4 people at one time are being executed, and we can call it like murder in prison rather than death sentence executions, because the family member did not have access to lawyer. And it was carried out in a way that's fall against the existing law. So this is very much inhuman. It is part of the ongoing crimes against humanity that Burmese military has been committing against its own civilian. And this is very same military who committed genocides against Rohingya people and carried out war crimes against the ethnic people.
Can I just ask whether you personally knew any of the activists who've been executed?
I personally did not knew them, but I have heard about them, and I have like connections, indirect connections with them.
So we were hearing there from the mother of Phyo Zeya Thaw about just how little access to information they had. They did not know that this was going to happen as late as a day before. What more can you tell us about the manner in which these executions were carried out?
It was done in a very, very, very dirty way and very, very inhuman way, as I mentioned earlier, because the family should have had, in any circumstance, the family should have had access to each of their family members and should be aware of what is going to happen to their family members. Even after being murdered, the dead body was not returned and the right information was not given to the family members, what had happened to their family members. And so there was very little to no information indeed, despite an announcement that being made on the national, on the junta-controlled newspaper.
And why do you think that the military junta has decided to resort to measures like this, to capital punishment?
The thing is, they are trying to see whether they can stop, they can show that the level of the brutality to the people, and then kind of stop the revolutions. And indeed, the more they try to do this kind of inhuman human right violations, gross human right violations, and inhuman crimes they commit, the more people will be accelerating to defend themselves and to prevent them controlling the country. So it is indeed very wrong way what they are doing. It's very, very a shame. They should be ashamed, because international community, including ASEAN member state, has been claiming repeatedly that not to kill or murder the political prisoners are being, because earlier there were signal that they would be executed after announcing that they are given the death sentence.
I mean, you're clearly quite angry about what's happened, but what are you able to do about it? You're a member of the National Unity Government. You're currently exiled. What can you actually do to get a message sent to the military junta?
I mean, the National Unity Government had made clearly announcement to the whole populations in the country to defend themselves, and of course we have been, in order to defend ourselves and in order to provide the protections to each of the citizens of the country, each of the civilians, the government leaders has made the announcement to self-defend, and the government has already established people defense force and things like that. So the only way to make this junta understand is to speak on their own language. I'm not inciting violence here. However, million of people in Burma have tried to peacefully protest. In return, what the people got is like bullets while peacefully protesting. So this is a military which has a very bad history track record of killing, murdering, and raping women, and while the civilian itself will peacefully claim things, and the response would be like very brutal crackdowns and things like that. So the people indeed is very, very angry that the 50 people, like 50 million people versus a few 100,000 people who has gone, is critically the situation. So I am sure there is not yet public announcement being made by the National United Government. I am sure there will be very strategic and operational response by the government.
So what about the international response? Do you think that carries much weight when it comes to putting pressure on the military junta? And how would you like the international community to respond to these executions?
I think the international community have enough evidence and enough in order to do what's need to be done to control these things and to ensure that the impunity, the cycle of impunity of such crimes is ending, and the international community must cut all ties with the junta and ensure that they are.
When you say cut all ties, to what extent do you mean? Could you just describe what you mean by that?
Mean that any relationship, these are the guys, the junta leaders are the guys who has very fresh blood, as I mentioned, from genocides and from crimes against humanity, all sorts of international crimes they have been continuously committing against its own people. And international community still, like various countries around the world, are indirectly or directly engaging with the junta in it diplomatically or in economically, and in, of course, a country cannot stand alone, they have territorial control for the moment compared to our government, like the government of the people that has the legitimacy due to the fact that they have the control over the military equipment and military personnel of the country. So indeed, in order to but what they couldn't control is the people's mindsets and people mentality to rule those people, and they couldn't fully act as a government, and they will never be, and the people of Burma will not let. So international community must support the people of Myanmar in order to put the country to the path of democracy and to ensure this country has truly principle on the principle of democracy, federal democracy, where it is. It's treat everyone in the country fairly, and if the international community cannot support the Burmese people, later on there would be not much to do for international community to bring back the country to the path of democracy.
All right, Ong Chow Mo, advisor to the Minister of Human Rights of the National Unity Government. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.